Switch Radio Sport. This is Switch.
Worcester City win that game and they will be in Division 1 Midlands next season.
Chance in ball control. Job's got chance in the penalty. Gets shot in and goes to the back of the net. And Cheyenne Jarvis gets the second goal for Leaford Athletic this afternoon. Found space in the 6-yard box.
Back to the edge of the penalty area with the pass. Cross in towards the back post. Headed goalwards and in.
That's a great shot from De Castro. Oh, what a save for Gray. And the Red Cube 2-0.
Stourbridge have won the Division 1 Midlands title.
The Women's Football Chat on Switch Radio.
Good evening and welcome along to this week's Women's Football Chat on Switch Radio. My name is Chris Gadsby. I'm here with you through until 6 o'clock this evening, bringing you all of the very latest from the third and fourth tiers of women's football here in England. That's the FA Women's National League, the 6 divisions and the 72 teams within it. Plenty to come on this week's show between now and 6 o'clock. You'll hear from Adam Dunleavy, you'll hear from Adam Fisher and Beth Grady after their games at the weekend. We'll also run through all of the results, what they mean for the league tables as the business end of the season is really approaching fast now, and we'll look ahead to a very quiet weekend of FAWNL action, but we do have a load of midweek fixtures, the final set of midweek fixtures of the season coming up in the next 7 days. So we've got plenty to look at ahead, as well as looking back on what was a busy weekend of FAWNL football. It's all on the Women's Football Chat with you until 6. Yes, all that to come then on this week's Women's Football Chat, but we're going to start, as we always do, with the news here on the show, and we're going to start with news from the league that actually came out via Moneyfields. They reached the plate final, and they have said that the plate final heads to Arbour Park on March the 29th. Arbour Park is the home of Slough Town of the National League South, so the 6th tier of the men's game. Sunday the 29th of March at 2 p.m. kickoff. Of course, the cup final taking place at Loftus Road on the 28th, so the plate on the 29th. Remember, a few years ago, they used to be played at the same stadium and they were back to back, and that hasn't happened now for a while. So they will take on Moneyfields against Cheadletown Stingers. So much shorter journey for Moneyfields. I'm really not sure exactly how much of an impact that makes. Moneyfields' journey, about an hour and a half to Slough Town. Cheadletown Stingers' journey, about 3.5 hours to Cheadletown. But the head of the Women's Football Pyramid, Nick Frith, has said that Arbour Park is an excellent venue for the FA Women's National League Plate Final. They're pleased to be taking the match to Slough Town on March the 29th. It's a ground with great facilities and a welcoming atmosphere, and we're excited to see it host what should be a memorable final for everyone involved. As a highlight of the FAWNL calendar, the plate final brings together two teams who have navigated competitive knockout matches to earn the chance to compete for national silverware. Tickets are available as well, and further details are being communicated via FA Women's National League travels. So we've got the plate at 6 a.m. Last year it was at Oxford City. There is quite a significant drop off between the venue where the cup is held, i.e. it was at Kenilworth Road or Loftus Road or some big places like that. Last year the cup final was Walsall, and then the plate was at Oxford City, now at Arbour Park. But particularly as the women's pyramid is moving forward, I think it's important to remember that the as the teams get more and more kind of semi-professional and professional, usually the teams who reach the final of the cup are the teams towards the top of tier 3 who have these big budgets and can travel, which means that the league can kind of book a place much earlier than they can for the plate, which is traditionally tier 4 sides. Traditionally, not always, but traditionally. And tier 4 sides, they need to wait a lot longer, the league, before being able to find a venue. For example, and I will just throw stuff out there based on teams that just catch my eye on the map graphic. If you happened to have a final between Chester Street Town and Norton and Stockton Ancients, who are both up in the northeast, it's no good hiring a venue right down south of the M4. So you have to wait until you've got a fairly good idea of the location of the teams in the final before you can then start to look at grounds which are somewhat between the two and available. So it should still be a great final. Cheadle going well in Division 1 North, Moneyfield's going well in Division 1 South West. That's coming up towards the end of March. Of course, we'll be covering that as and when the time comes. But should be a very interesting game. I think at the moment you'll probably put Moneyfields as slight favourites, but a lot could change in that. Moving on then, Stockport County. That's been the big news. It's actually made national news this week. I think a lot of the reason it's made that is because of who they have brought in. Stockport County Football Club has announced the launch of Stockport County Women, which is a significant new chapter for women's football in Stockport and beyond. So founded in 1989 as Stockport County Ladies, of course what it is now, the club has spent 37 years as a volunteer-run community organisation. From next season, the team will compete under the name of Stockport County Women, which reflects the evolution of the women's game and the club's long-term commitment to equality, opportunity and growth. Essentially, they're bringing Stockport County Ladies under the club banner. The appointment is because they have confirmed Tracy Neville as managing director of the women's team. She brings extensive experience from elite sport. She's operated at the highest levels of performance, governance and cultural change. Now, this is such a big name for Stockport County that the likes of Sky Sports News have gone down and done an interview and things like that. So it's really raised Stockport County in the local area. She has also said that she wants to get Stockport County right to the top, but their kind of short, medium-term goal is to get into WSL2, then establish themselves there and then see what happens. So Stockport County are joining, really, an ever-growing list of teams who have the ambition to get into the WSL. There's now numerous teams in the 3rd and 4th tiers and a few even below who have said, yeah, this is what we want to be achieving. So it sounds as though the tiers 4 and 3 are going to just get even more competitive as the years go on, because more and more teams are putting the money in, and it then brings to light again, I think, the argument of maybe going more than 12 teams, maybe keeping this playoff system and trying to find a way to get more movement between particularly tiers 2 and 3, and just trying to make sure that obviously it's done in a sustainable way, but there needs to be more, because it's the plan at the moment, because they want this expansion towards the top, is that this is only a 1-year thing, these playoffs, and then it's going to go back to being just the champions. And we've seen so much in the previous years that if you have to just be the champions, you almost have to have a near perfect season to become the champions, and it's so difficult to move. So hopefully, as time goes on, maybe more and more clubs will start to do this as they have the ambitions to go higher, and will look at a more expansive league. But that is a long way off into the future. Sticking in Division 1 North, we're going to move across to Chorley. So from Stockport to Chorley, not that far away. First team manager Carmelo Ruggieri and assistant manager Nathan Sulby have stepped down from their roles at Chorley. Carmelo joined as first team assistant manager in June 2022, took over as manager in November 2022 when they were in the relegation zone, and they culminated in a club best third place finish in the Division 1 North last season. Nathan joined as assistant manager in June 2023 and has been integral to the club's recent progress. His commitment to player development has been key in growing the confidence of individuals as well as the team, and the club are placing on record their thanks to the two. Chorley currently are 8th in Division 1 North. They are 8 points above the relegation zone. Division 1 North, of course, because of, well, very bad weather, essentially, up in the north, are much kind of further behind in their league than quite a few others. There are teams down in Southwest and Southeast who have played 15 games. I think there's even a 16 games in there already in Southwest. Yeah, Worthing and Ascot United have played 16 of their 22 games. And we've got teams in Division 1 North who have only played 12. So they are a long way back. There's going to be a lot of games to play in Division 1 North between now and the end of the season. A lot could change, but Chorley have got themselves in a position where they're not really at the moment looking too far over their shoulder. Right. As I said, plenty of news we had to go through there. Let's then move on to the business at hand and the results from the past 7 days in the FAWNL. We'll start as we usually do in the Northern Premier Division. Good afternoon for Middlesbrough. They beat Derby County away from home by 4-0. Millie Bell, Rebecca Ferguson, Armani Maxwell and Nia Dunbar with the goals for Middlesbrough. Very convincing win for them. Stoke City also getting a victory. They beat Hull City by 3-1. Camille Jenkins with a brace for Stoke City. Darcy Lancaster also popping up with one. Hull had taken the goal from Kirsty Hunt in the game, but they lose by 3-1. Very big win for Burnley against Loughborough Lightning, 7-0 that afternoon. Amy Kelly with 2, and then 1 for Brooke Cairns, Jasmine Matthews, Claudia Mummery Walker, Millie Ravening and Jade Richards. So a very big win for Burnley, and an important win for Halifax. They beat Sporting Cowser by 2-1. Phoebe Hollin and Dulcie O'Connor just 7 minutes apart in the first half, those two goals coming in. Daisy Wickett did get one back for Cowser with 14 minutes to go, but they weren't able to find an equaliser. And the big game that we were really looking forward to this weekend, Wolverhampton Wanderers against Rugby Borough, ended up falling foul of the weather. And then there was one game on Thursday night in the Northern Premier Division where Burnley travelled to Liverpool Feds and won by 2-0. A brace for Millie Ravening, 62 and 90 plus 5, so not comfortable at all for Burnley, but they get the job done and end up with a 6-point week. What that means for the Northern Premier Division table, Burnley have opened up a 7-point gap at the top, but Wolves have 3 games in hand in second. The other movements, Middlesbrough, after that win against Derby, move above Liverpool Feds in the table. So they are in now 5th on 19, and Halifax, with the win over Sporting Cowser, have climbed a place up to 9th. They are now 6 points clear of the relegation zone. Loughborough Lightning with 7 games left to play. Derby County have dropped down to 10th, but they are 5 points clear of the relegation zone. And it brings about, again, because Wolves had this game postponed, this interesting sort of dynamic of, would you rather know that you've still got the best points percentage in the league, which Wolves have, or do you want the points on the board and have everybody else having to chase you? Of course, those points on the board for Burnley are banked. They are there, 41 points out of a possible 45. Wolves, if they win their 3 games in hand, would overtake Burnley, but they have to actually go out and win those games. So Wolves know it's in their hands, even though from a purely looking at the points point of view, it feels as though they're coming from an awful long way back. From 7 points back, they've got to try and close that. They've got games against Rugby, Sporting Cowser in there as part of their games in hand. So rugby's not interesting. I think Middlesbrough's the other one from memory that Wolves have got. So there's plenty of, they're not massively easy games for Wolves. You would probably expect them to win. They are undefeated so far this season in the league. But rugby, they're not easy. The other thing with Burnley as well, they are out in front. They have 7 games to go. They have played 9 of their 11 away games, have Burnley. So they are basically at home now, pretty much, for the remainder of the season. Their 2 away games are to Derby, who are 10th, and Hull, who are 8th. So they haven't got to go to anywhere which is on paper necessarily challenging. And they haven't got to go on the road again until the 22nd of March. So they have got now 6 weeks without any travelling. They're just at home all the time. They are probably a pivotal 6 weeks for Burnley because they have to host Rugby Borough and Wolverhampton Wanderers in consecutive weeks. And that's the sort of bit towards the end of the season where you look at it and you go, okay, if Burnley come out of those 8 days with 6 points, then that's probably going to be enough to put them into WSL2 next season, and either Rugby or Wolves are going to have to contest the playoff. But on the flip side of that, it's in Wolves' hands at the moment. Rugby are probably too far off to win the league because they're 11 points behind Burnley and only 1 game in hand. But particularly with a game against Wolves to play and knowing that Wolves have also got to go to Burnley, Rugby might be fancying trying to sneak themselves into the playoffs, even though Wolves have got 2 games in hand on them. So Rugby will not be giving up at any time soon. Right, Southern Premier Division, just 5 games taking place last weekend. Exeter City beating Billericay Town by 6-0. A very big win for Exeter City, including 4 for Sophie Gillies in that game. And Exeter also decided to give a run out to a new goalkeeper. So they played with Abigail Bond for the first half, and then they swapped for the second half. So both goalkeepers, because of the way that the FAWNL runs it, both goalkeepers picking up a tally for their Golden Glove their awards at the end of the season, and those races are really hotting up as well. So 4 for Sophie Gillies, Sarah Stacey and Jazz Styles with the other goals for Exeter. Gwalior United against Plymouth, a goalless draw. Lewis against Cheltenham Town, Lewis winning by 6-0 with 5 different scorers plus an own... 6 different scorers for Lewis. It's because 1 is missing off full time. Olivia Carpenter, Leah Lane, Sydney Shalimar, Rebecca Trehuit, Chelsea Ferguson and Kayla Ginger with the goals for Lewis. 7-goal thriller between Watford and Oxford United. Watford winning by 4-3. Back and forth game, this one again. Oxford taking the lead early on. Nicola Gibson, 5th minute. Watford turning it around, and within 5 minutes, Lashante Paul 23, Madison Perry 28. So it then goes 2-1, and that's how it goes at half time. Then early in the second half, Florence Fife, who came on at half time, makes it 3-1 on 51. It's then 3-2 thanks to Emma Thompson on 53. It's then 4-2 on 57 through Fife again. So 3 goals in the space of 6 minutes. And then Thompson, with her second of the game on 68 minutes, makes it 4-3. So there was a 17-minute spell there where both sides scored 2, but Oxford unable to find an equaliser. And then finally, #United 0, Rail Bedford 0. What that means for the table, there is not a great deal of movement in the Southern Premier Division from the past weekend. Of course, Watford won, so they are 4 points clear of Plymouth Argyle, who are in second. Argyle being held to that 0-0 draw with Gwalior. Bournemouth didn't play. Oxford United 4th. Obviously, they lost Rail Bedford with the points, so they've now pulled level with Oxford in points and goal difference, but not on goals scored, so they are in 5th. The movement is from Exeter City in 7th. They go up a place over Cheltenham Town on 20 points. Cheltenham Town on 19 now. #United in 9th on 16, although they did get that point with Rail Bedford. Gwalior United also got the point as well. Wimbledon have they didn't play Billericay Town towards the bottom. What it means, Billericay Town still on 0 points. They are now 5 wins away from Gwalior United in 10th. And with their goal difference being minus 90, essentially it's 16 points away from safety in the Southern Premier Division. So they need results from 6 of their remaining 7 games. Now in the next 10 days or so, they've got #United at home and then Real Bedford away. The #United game midweek, which we'll cover on later on in the show, could be a really important one. Of course, if things go badly wrong, #United would pull themselves. If #United win, then Billericay Town would be unable to catch them, and then they are relying solely on there only being one team they're able to catch, which is Gwalior United. They have Cheltenham, which is also a very winnable game for Gwalior United. It could all go very badly wrong for Billericay Town midweek, and they could end up being 18 points away from safety with 6 games to play, and then you have to win all of your games and overturn a massive goal difference. What I'm saying essentially is by this time next week, Billericay Town could essentially be down. By after next weekend, it is probably likely that they will be. So the first kind of relegation is looming, particularly there and in the Southern Premier Division. Let's move through into Tier 4. We'll start with Division 1 Midlands. Barnsley Women's getting a big 7-0 win over Lincoln United, with plenty of different scorers for Barnsley. Millie Fugler, Gemma Jarvis, Jodie McCowsher, Ocean Rowlandson, Amber Sewell, Olivia Richardson, all finding the back of the net for Barnsley. A big result again for Northampton Town though. They beat Boldmere St Michael's by 2-1. Angel Dade in the 30th minute, Isabel Paoli in the 32nd, so really catching Boldmere out with a quick-fire double. Grace Gregory getting one back for Carl Henry's side in the 90th minute, but they weren't able to find an equaliser. And that really, for Boldmere, has really hurt them towards the top of the table. Notts County 1, Kidderminster Harriers 2. Lily Stevenson putting Notts County in front on the 26th minute before Millie Rogers equalised just before half-time. Sienna McCann-Lloyd putting Kidderminster in front in the second half, and they held on to that to take the 2-1 win. Peterborough United beating Sutton Coldfield Town by a 1-0. Rebecca Mears with the only goal in that game. Stourbridge against Sheffield was postponed, and Leaford Athletic beating Worcester City by 7-2. A brace for Gemma Fraser for Leaford Athletic, but then Rosanna Embley, Hannah Fishwick, Gwen Horgan, Lucy Davis and Anita Gaspar all getting one as well. Maya Clark with 2 for Worcester City, the only scorer for them. A big win for Kidderminster Harriers against Notts County, really important in their table as well. We'll take a look at the Division 1 Midlands table in just a few moments, but first you'll hear from Andy Fisher, who is speaking to Kevin Moore and Josh Piavasana, and then from Beth Grady speaking to Millie Curran-Manning.
Andy, congratulations.
Thank you.
2-1 victory against Notts County. We've talked previously how tight, competitive, how strong this division is becoming. Tier 4 is year by year by year, but a big win, and a lot of players showed a lot of heart this afternoon to get a valuable 3 points away against Notts County.
Yeah, and to be fair, the players have shown that over the last 3 weeks. I think we were unlucky last week against Northampton, who proved today that they're on the up. There's no doubt about that, and I knew they were. So we were unlucky last week, and then obviously the Stourbridge derby was massive, and the same fight was there, Kev, really. So today we knew we had to come and do the same. It's never an easy place. These have got top quality players who have known for a long time. We know it wasn't going to be easy, but they need the fight, and when you're in the relegation battle, which we are in, there's no doubt about that. There's 6 of us in there. I think we need that fight, and we need that bit of quality as well to add to it. So I think we've brought the two together over the last month since the Sutton game, in all honesty, and we've managed to get 6 points out of those 3 really, with a big game now to look forward to at Worcester midweek.
Tough start this afternoon. Both teams looked a little bit scrappy at times.
Yeah.
Early goal conceded by Kidderminster. A little bit disappointed there to concede a goal in that fashion.
Yeah, Josh, it's the story of our season. I can look back at, and I say it to the staff and the players, who look back at footage from a majority of our goals this season. My teams of old have always been very solid, as well as score goals. As a group, we know this, that we haven't been as organised and as solid as we need to, and our goals at times have been have just been mistakes. They've been real poor mistakes all the way through the season, and Josh today exactly that. It's not a great clearance from us. We should have just dealt with it, cleared our lines. This is what you've got to do when you're scrapping away, and we haven't done that in this division. There's goal scorers all across the pitch on the opposition, so we've been punished. But listen, the big thing is his character, and as you've said, it was scrappy, but we got ourselves back into the game. Mel Rogers again, like she did last week, comes up with a great finish and a goal, and got us back into it for half time, which was important.
Mentioned it there, scoring just before half time. Yeah. Great touch by Mill to set up the goal for herself. How did that feel going in level at half time, knowing it could have been going either way at that point?
It was like last week. We did the same last week. We went 1-0 down with a free kick, and then Mill does exactly carbon copy goal today that she did last week. So, but I just said to the players, I said, you've got to learn from what happened last week, that we came out second half and within 20 minutes we're 2-1 down again, and you're chasing the game, and then we rely on the linesman and referee to get things right, but we can't have that today. We have to go and get the second, and we went on and did that. So it was a massive goal for us.
And he started second half, Notts County to be expected to sort of change their mentality a little bit, went at you a little bit for the first 10 minutes of play, but I thought you dealt with that initial pressure very well at the start of the second half, Andy.
Yeah, and again, it's what we haven't done, but we got the clean sheet second half, and as they brought on extra quality, we always knew that Smurf, Barnes on the left, and Leah Hardy comes on, she causes problems at our place. They're top quality players, and Brett has got goals in the left, right and centre. This is what I say, like this division's full of quality. So I knew, and looking on the touchline and they bring in those players on, you're like, oh, give us a break here. But we've weathered the storm as we needed to, and we've showed that resilience now to go and take us forward against Worcester and Lincoln in the league. 2 massive games. Big
games on the rise, Andy, but let's go back to some players a minute. Lucy Pugh, very adventurous today, but McCann Lloyd, show more maturity game by game.
Sean has been an absolute godsend, Kev. I knew how good she was. Obviously she's been around this level, been at Stourbridge obviously, not previous player of mine, but has come in and has just changed our dynamic up front. Just something we've been crying out for all season. She puts herself about, she's physical, and as you've seen today, can score a goal. So massive. Lucy Pugh has been playing more centrally this season. It's only recently we put her out wide because we knew her quality. We know she can get on the ball. She's defensively really, really good. She's an aggressive player, so she's been out at right back and she's been absolutely solid. But the whole back four have really, apart from the mistake in the first half, really, which we should have cleared our lines, the whole back four is really settled at the moment. So really pleased with Lucy, Beth Grady back there, Holly Congrave from Worcester, who's come in and just been, she's so delicate, isn't she, Holly? But she's been solid for us, and that's without Evo, Chloe Evans, who's got experience at this level, who's out at the moment. She'll be back in and bring us that experience for the remainder of the season.
You mentioned about Congrave, of course, with Congrave and Levy, because a good combination at the back line there. A lot of composure on the ball as well, Andy. But on the horizon, you've got still some cup duties to play, but obviously some key league matches now. Yeah. Worcester City on the horizon and Lincoln United. Leafield later on in March and Barmere on the horizon in March. Yeah. I think February's looking an interesting month for you because you've got the cup semi-final on the horizon, but some 2 key league fixtures there, Worcester City and Lincoln United. Getting the 3 points there can be a real sort of cushion to get a good point started by the end of this month, Andy.
We needed to, and you just looking at the division there, it's points in it. I think we're us and Sutton are on the same points now, and there's a goal in it. Northampton have gone up and well done to the lads there, but it's 2 points. So kind of Northampton's wins over us, over Lincoln, over Balmere has only made it 2 points difference. Yeah. That's how tight it is. It's a ridiculous league, but we knew we had to turn the tide a little bit today, and unfortunately as it is, don't like to say it, but pull us away from Stourbridge, and that's what we are, and that's where we focus now. Is making sure we just pulling away, and I know they've got a couple of games in hand, but they've got some tough ones. The key bit is to break away from that relegation zone and get away from that pack a little bit, that pack of 2 down there. So
absolutely, of course, when games get postponed as well, when you're in a situation, you're a club that has, the weather's conditions this weekend, a lot of games got called off. That puts more pressure on your players. You've got to try and squeeze those games in. The sun is running out for teams at the moment, aren't they?
Yeah, absolutely. But listen, I've been here before. If you remember a few seasons ago when it was us and Donny Bells, we were sitting at the top and Donny Bells with the team with the games in hand, and that's not a place to be, Kev. For me it's points on the board. That's the key.
Points rather than games in hand.
Pressure with games in hand. It's big Stourbridge, you've got Peterborough, Sheffield. They're not easy games, but listen, it's still wide open, there's no doubt about it. We can't sit off. We know Worcester midweek at Droitwich is going to be tough. Worcester are a great outfit. Matt's gone on playing really well. It's a game that we can win, and if we can go and get points there, that's important. And then we've got Lincoln away, who change in the guard at the moment with Alex going, so what will that bring? But if we can go and get 4 to 6 points out of those games, then I think we'll be looking up as opposed to down. So it's a massive month, as you've just said to me in there, ultimately, and here, if we can get the points that we need to on board, we can pull away from that danger zone.
So I'm joined with Beth today from Kidderminster Harriers. What was the biggest challenge Notts County posed on you and out on the pitch today?
I think they attacked really fast, so as soon as they got the ball they got out wide, they took their chances, they did have a few shots, but we were quick to get back in and defend really well.
How important was it for you to stay focused after the Notts County goal?
Very important. It was very important for us to get the next goal and try and get ourselves back into the game, because we made lots of chances but they just weren't really coming.
How pleased were you with the team's overall performance today?
I'm really pleased, because coming off from last week we felt like we deserved to win.
How good did it feel to see what you've been working on in training come out in the match?
We worked really hard on getting high and wide and making opportunities come. We scored a lot in training and we took it into the game today.
How important was communication and teamwork in dealing with today's game?
Really important. We needed the 3 points, and it's always important in football for teamwork and communication in order to win. Just simple telling people what to do. It really worked today.
From a personal point of view, how did you feel today's game went?
I think we fought really hard after last week. We played really well as a team and we deserved the 3 points.
What positive will you take from today into the next game?
Definitely working for each other, working really hard throughout, getting back in. Like Mill got back how many times in front of the ball when they were having a shot, so yeah, really good.
How important are wins like that as the season progresses?
Definitely really important. After last week, we felt like we deserved to win. Obviously we are near the bottom of the table, so yeah, it's really important.
A potentially significant win there for Kidderminster Harriers. What it means for them in the league table, they are 4 points clear of Stourbridge on the relegation zone line. Stourbridge, yes, have 2 games in hand, but that was a really important 3 points for Kidderminster Harriers. And they've also moved themselves now to within 2 points of 7th, as it is so tight at the bottom of the Division 1 Midlands table. But let's start at the top. Peterborough United are now top of the table, and they have 2 games in hand over Boldmere St Michael's, after Boldmere St Michael's had that defeat to Northampton Town, who have won the last 3 games for them, and that has really catapulted Northampton Town up the table. So Boldmere St Michael's dropped to second. Peterborough United then are a point clear, and they've got 2 games in hand. They may well now start to streak away at the top of Division 1 Midlands. Leaford Athletic remain third after their win over Worcester City. Barnsley Women's are up to 4th because Sheffield didn't play, but Sheffield have got 3 games in hand on Barnsley Women, so that may well turn back around when those games are played. Worcester City remains 6th. Northampton Town, with that win over Boldmere, are 7th, with Notts County and Sutton Coldfield Town in 8th and 9th now, both losing. We've mentioned Kidderminster Harriers up to 10th. Stourbridge down to 11th. Stourbridge remain in 11th. They didn't play. Lincoln United 12th. They've only played 14 games. They are 14 points away from safety, but they do still have plenty more games than the situation for Billericay Town. So there is still movements that could happen in Division 1 Midlands, particularly when you look at that bottom side of the table. 17 points for Northampton Town, who are 7th. 15 points for Kidderminster Harriers, who are 10th. So there's still plenty that could happen. And particularly, if you add Stourbridge, who have got 2 games in hand on all of those teams, they could easily pull themselves into that mix again. And that's the sort of relegation battle that may well go right down to the wire. Now, one of the teams that did miss out on picking up points at the weekend, you've heard from the Kidderminster Harriers side of that game, was Notts County, one of the teams in this mix towards the bottom of Division 1 Midlands. Their head coach is Adam Dunleavy, and after the game between them and Kidderminster Harriers, he spoke to Mia Fowler and Millie Curran-Manning.
So Adam, coming into today's game against Kidderminster Harriers, what were you expecting from your players and how closely did the game play out to that?
I think we were expecting that it was going to be a tough battle. We knew that both sides were going to be combative and competitive, and that's exactly what we got today. I think probably for the neutral it was a good game of football. It was sort of end to end. There were moments for both teams. Obviously for us, we're really frustrated to come out on the wrong end of that today. I thought we did some stuff really, really well, and then there were some things that Kiddy did which made it difficult for us to play the way we wanted to play. So credit to them for that. And yeah, we're just a little bit frustrated in probably the manner we conceded the goals, the timing of the goal just for half time as well. Arguably over the amount of added time the referee added on, which is always frustrating. But listen, it is what it is. Like, either team could have won the game. Credit to them for getting the 3 points.
And how pleased were you with the way the team handled Kidderminster's physicality and intensity throughout the match?
Yeah, really well. I think we'd ID'd that early. We knew that they're a really combative side, like they work and fight for each other, and regardless of how games are going, like we know they're always going to be combative, like we've said. So we needed to make sure players are ready to stand up to that. I thought a few individuals did that incredibly well. Collectively as a team, I thought we stood up to the test quite well, and what we probably then didn't do as well was play the way we wanted to play. So we probably took a little bit too long on the ball, played into congestion a little bit too much, and we weren't as fluid today as we've been in the last sort of couple of weeks. So that was a shame.
There were periods today where the game felt quite tight. How important was patience and discipline from the players in those moments?
Yeah, 100%. Like, we really trust and believe in ourselves as a group, and I think, like I say, there were moments for both teams, and we could have had a penalty at one end, like it was a clear handball in the box, and that doesn't go your way, and then you've just got to remain patient. You've got to try and find ways to sort of connect and build. You've got to find ways to not try to rush it and force it, especially when you're getting towards the end and you're running out of time. I think we did that quite well. We kept pressure on. I think last 10 minutes we put a lot of pressure on Kiddy, and yeah, just unfortunate we couldn't find something at the end, but I think we did well at it for the most part.
Yeah, and like you said, it got quite intense at times. The team managed to keep the tempo well. How do you feel that they managed in trickier situations when the tempo got a fast pace? How did they bring it back to keep it calm? And
I think it's those moments when, like I say, Kiddy are really, really good at making the area tight really, really quickly. They press with intensity, and then it makes it difficult to play out. So in those moments, you've got to have confidence on the ball. You've got to get your body in. We probably should have recycled the ball a little bit more and come out of the channels. I think if we'd used our back line to open spaces, we might have had a bit more success. So yeah, you've just got to feel the momentum of the game. You need to try to be composed. We've got some technically good players in the team, and those players have just got to trust their ability, and they've got to trust their teammates. And I think, again, for the most part, we did that really, really well. I think there was fine margins we would have liked to have tweaked. Like I say, probably recycled the ball a bit quicker, probably came out of congestion a little bit more, and recycled the ball, but we didn't as well as we have done in games recently.
Yeah, again, Kidderminster were quite threatening today. And what do you make of your side's defensive organisation?
Yeah, I think we defended really well. I think as a back line we played quite well. I think the two centre halves dealt with the aerial balls. They put a lot of balls on our back line, and I think Bex and Haley did incredibly well at dealing with that. And then the next bit for us was the second balls. Like, I think Kiddy quite happy for us to head the first one. They wanted to play off the second ball. So then in those moments we just have to remain connected, make sure we're landing on second contacts and second balls. There are a couple of moments where they were first to that, and that's when we were under pressure. And there were other moments where we dealt with it well. And then I think just collectively as a group, probably we worked really hard. We can't fault the work rate today. I think everybody grafted 100% from all of the team. I thought the players that came on affected the game brilliantly. But yeah, just some stuff didn't come off for us today.
Yeah, I mean, there was some great plays today, definitely. And how encouraging was it to see your team create such chances?
Yeah, I think we're collective as a group. We're trying to do exactly that. We want to go into games and enjoy the ball, get more box entries, create more chances at goal. We had loads of chances against Sutton Coldfield a couple of weeks ago. Not as many clear-cut ones today, but we still got in good areas and dangerous areas. So it's really pleasing to see the team getting in those areas and doing a lot of stuff well. And then it's just fine margins and tightening up bits to convert those into clear-cut chances or goals. And then ultimately that gives you 3 points.
Yeah, and how important was the reaction from the players after the second goal went in? How important is that they stay focused in a situation like that?
Yeah, it's massive. I think it's really difficult when you go a goal ahead and then you kind of go 2-1 down. Like, psychologically that can be tough, and in those moments players need to step up and again just trust the process, trust what we're doing as a group, trust in their ability. And I think one thing we've seen from our group this year is they'll fight for 90 plus minutes. They don't give up. They keep working till the end. And I think, even after the second goal, there wasn't any of us as a group of staff or the players that thought that we were going to lose the game. We genuinely believe we'll get more chances. We'll get another opportunity to score. Like I say, unfortunately, it didn't come off today, but the group have always got that mentality this season that they're going to go all the way.
And after Shaniqua Barnes came off the bench, she seemed to change the pace of the game. How important was it and is it that when she comes off the bench for the team?
Yeah, it's massive. We're so blessed at Notts. We've got 6 really strong forwards. Any 6 can start in any combination and we can cause teams problems. So we know we can flip the script and change games. We know we can bring players off the bench that when players have been defending for 60 minutes, 70 minutes, they're going to have somebody fresh that's combative, that's going to be direct. I think all the players that came on were brilliant today. I think the young, Jess and Grace, they're so young in the game, they're learning, and I thought the way Grace played with composure centrally was wonderful. She unlocked some doors for us. JJ played against one of the best forwards in the league with Millie Rogers, and she was combative and dealt with her. She's 16 years old. I thought she was superb. And then Smurf always comes on and makes a big impact, or starts and makes a big impact. She's our top goal scorer for a reason. She's come back from that suspension that she had, and she's been training hard, working hard behind the scenes, and she was desperate to get on the pitch and make an impact.
And finally, what does today's performance against Kidderminster Harriers say about the group right now?
I think it says a couple of things. I think it says we're a group that's always growing and building. I think we've got loads to learn and loads to improve on every week. I think that's the same. Whether it's a positive result or not, I think there's always stuff we can improve on. But I think it also shows the heart, desire and commitment of the group, that they're desperate to fight for the badge for 90 plus minutes. They fight for each other, they work incredibly hard, and I think we've got some really exciting players at the football club that are early in their development and are not only going to get better from here. So we're excited about those players' development, we're excited about the group this year, and we've just got to make sure we keep our heads up and don't allow this result to get us down too much and come back swinging in the next game.
Adam Dunleavy there speaking after the defeat to Kidderminster Harriers, which has left his Notts County side 8th in Division 1 Midlands. This is the Women's Football Chat on Switch Radio. Still plenty to come between now and 6 o'clock when Andrew Richards takes over with his alternative 80s show. We'll be right back. This is the Women's Football Chat on Switch Radio. Chris Gadsby with you here through until 6 o'clock this evening. We're going to move on to Division 1 North now, looking at those results from the past 7 days. Cheadletown Stingers against Leeds United. Cheadletown winning a 1-1 draw against Leeds. Leeds missing the chance to go top of the table. Anna McCready for Cheadletown Stingers. Drew Green for Leeds United. Durham Sestra beating Chorley by 6-1. Grace Monkhouse in the 8th minute. Grace McKee in the 19th minute. Faye Dale 46, Ellen Marie Atkinson 57, Anya Prested in the 55th, missed that one, sorry, and Francesca Ward in the 65th minute with the goals for Durham Sestra. Chorley with just the 1 goal for them, and it was an own goal from Durham Sestra. The weather really taking hold in Division 1 North at the weekend, because they really, there was only 4 of the 6 games, 4 were called off. So there was not much action in Division 1 North. What it means for the table, not a great deal. Leeds United are now second. The point takes them above Huddersfield Town. They did miss the opportunity to go to the top of the table, so Wythenshawe still hold that spot at the moment, but Leeds United have a game in hand, as do Huddersfield Town, who could also overtake them. Cheadletown Stingers are now 4 points away from the top. They also have a game in hand over Wythenshawe, but they do not have games in hand on Leeds United or Huddersfield Town. A win could really have catapulted Cheadle right back into that conversation. As it is at the moment, they're probably still just a little bit on the periphery of it, but that may well be just down to their league position rather than actual any performances on the pitch. Durham Sestra in 6th. They've only played 13 games. They're on 22 points, so there's only 6 points separating the top 6 in Division 1 North. There is no other movement from there. Chorley lost. They remain in 8th. And so there was that draw between 2nd and 5th. So 12th, 11th, 10th, 9th didn't play. Neither did 7th. So there isn't really much movement to talk about in Division 1 North. Division 1 South East, Actonians 1, Luton Town 2 for Natasha Fensom, 1 for Abigail Cargbo for Actonians in the 39th minute, their only goal of the game. They lose by 2-1. Same scoreline between AFC Sudbury and Chesham United. Chesham United finally get their first win of the season. Holly Fitzgerald and Jenny Nagel with their goals, which may give them just a little bit of hope in Division 1 South East. Dulwich Hamlet beating Cambridge United by 1-0. Layla Emerson with the only goal of that game. London Bees 4, Milton Keynes Dons 1. A lot of goals early on in this one from London Bees. They'd scored 3 after 9 minutes. 2 for Samantha Gabby and 1 for Sandra Martins. Rebecca Wozniak then got one for them 6 minutes from time. Madeline Pollard, the goal for Milton Keynes Dons. They lose by 4-1. And Norwich City 2, Fulham 3. This was it was a very interrupted game. 2-2 at the time of the suspension. Freya Simmons and Faith Harrison with the goals for Norwich City. Ellie Olds and Rebecca Stormer with the goals for Fulham. The top two deadlocked when there was a really serious injury to Jade Bradley. The game was stopped for a long time. Both teams went into the dressing room. They agreed to come back out to finish the game, and Fulham, Jade Bradley, the Fulham player who went off, Fulham then get the win. Hannah Mackenzie deep into stoppage time. I think technically it was something like 90 plus 46. The goal went in, but Fulham, a huge 3 points for them against Norwich, and Queen's Park Rangers against Chatham Town postponed. What that means for the South East table: Fulham are top of the table and they have a game in hand over Norwich City. That's how important that win was for them. Norwich City down to second. There is no other movement though in Division 1 South East. London Bees, who are third, they won. Chatham Town, Queen's Park Rangers didn't play, so 4th and 5th stays the same. Actonians lost, but they had a gap anyway. Cambridge United lost in 7th. Dulwich Hamlet won, but so did Luton Town, so there's no movement there. Milton Keynes Dons, they lost. AFC Sudbury lost, and Chesham United, bottom of the table, won, but they were too far away from AFC Sudbury to be able to leapfrog them anyway. So Chesham United 8 points away from safety, 7 games to go. Still going to be very difficult for them, but that win has maybe just given them a little bit more hope than they would have had previously. Division 1 South West then, 5 games to go through here. Ascot United 1, Swindon Town 2. Ascot United's good run of form comes to an end. Swindon Town getting the 3 points. Taylor McDonald and Annabelle Colston with the goals for Swindon. Ascot United, Hattie Kettle in the 92nd minute with a goal for them to give them just maybe a little bit of hope. They might have been able to get a draw, but they weren't able to do so. Bristol Rovers winning away at Bournemouth Sports by 3-0. Layla Douglas, Terry Jo Guavin and Chloe Snook with the goals for Bristol Rovers. Bridgewater United beating Keynsham Town by 3-2. Beatrice Cretis, Megan Jarvis with the goals for Bridgewater United. Holly Mae Jenkins and Mia Mugford with the goals for Keynsham Town. That one 1-1 at half time before Bridgewater United were able to get the 3 points. Marine Academy Plymouth against Abingdon United postponed. Moneyfields just getting past Portishead Town by 1-0. Shannon Albury in the 90th minute with the only goal of the game. Moneyfields very close to dropping points that I think a lot of people weren't expecting them to do. And that was almost a shot before Moneyfields were able to get the 3 points they needed. And Maidenhead United beating Worthing by 6-0. Goals for Maidenhead United in this one: Alia Charles, Megan Harper, Simone O'Brien. 2 for Isabel Stockton in there as well. So plenty of goals for Maidenhead United. What that means for the table is that they are now up to 5th. That is the only movement in Division 1 South West. It's one of those situations, again, where you examine the table and you go, well, Moneyfields are 1st and they won. Swindon Town are 2nd and they won. Bristol Rovers are 3rd and they won. Bridgewater United are 4th and they won. Maidenhead United are now 5th. They won. Abingdon United didn't play. And then you go to the bottom half of the table and you go Worthing are bottom, they lost. Portishead Town as second bottom, they lost. Keynsham Town are 10th, they lost. Marine Academy Plymouth didn't play. Bournemouth Sports are 8th, they lost. And Ascot United are 7th and they lost. So that's why there's not really much movement in Division 1 South West for this week. There's one other game to go through, which was the other FAWNL Cup semi-final, West Bromwich Albion against AFC Bournemouth. That's why we had a couple of games missing in Tier 3. Georgia Wilson 26th minute and Jenna Markham in the 81st minute means it's Bournemouth who will take on Plymouth Argyle for the FAWNL Cup final on the 28th of March at Loftus Road. Right, let's then just finish off this week's show before we hand over to Andrew Richards by taking a look at the fixtures coming up in the leagues this week. There are only 2 games. It's County Cup weekend and a lot of teams are playing in County Cup. There are only 2 games in the entire FAWNL on Sunday, and the way that the weather's looking at the moment, there may be fewer than that by the time Sunday comes around, but we do have midweek action, the final set of midweek games coming up this week, so we've still got more than a full programme of FAWNL action to bring you. Northern Premier Division then, this is where one of the games at the weekend is taking place. Halifax against Derby County, that's 9th against 10th, both of those sides wanting to pull themselves well away of the relegation zone. Then 3 games on Wednesday, Sporting Cowser against Wolves, Stoke City against Derby County, West Bromwich Albion against Rugby Borough. So Wolves 2nd, Sporting Cowser down in 12th, Stoke City against Derby County 4th against 10th. At the moment, obviously Derby could if they win. This is the crazy. If Derby win at the weekends, they go from 10th to 7th in the space of one weekend. Unless they win by 10 goals, in which case they might go to 6th, but I think that's highly unlikely. West Bromwich Albion against Rugby Borough 7th against 3rd. Then on Thursday, Halifax in 9th at the moment against Middlesbrough in 5th. Burnley not playing midweek because they brought their midweek fixture forward by a week and played Liverpool Feds on Thursday night. So this is one of the games in hand for Wolves when they take on Sporting Cowser on Wednesday towards the top of the table. In the Southern Premier Division, everybody bar one playing on Wednesday. Plymouth Argyle against Exeter City, 2nd against 7th. AFC Wimbledon against Lewis, 11th against 6th. Billericay Town in 12th against Hashtag United in 9th. Crucial game for Billericay. Oxford United against AFC Bournemouth, 4th against 3rd. That could be a great game on Wednesday evening. Real Bedford in 5th against Watford in 1st. That's also going to be a really good game. I think Real Bedford very difficult to beat on their own pitch. And then on Thursday, Cheltenham Town against Gwalior United, with Gwalior United wanting to put even further distance, if they can, between themselves and the bottom 2. In Division 1 Midlands, this is where the other fixture is taking place from this weekend. Stourbridge against Peterborough United is the weekend fixture. Stourbridge in 11th, Peterborough United 1st. That's one of their games in hand over Boldmere St Michael's. Then on Tuesday, Notts County in 8th against Lincoln United in 12th. Also Tuesday, Sutton Coldfield Town against Boldmere St Michael's, 9th against 2nd. Peterborough United against Northampton Town, 1st against 7th. Peterborough will be confident, but Northampton Town on a great run of form and have just beaten Boldmere St Michael's. Sheffield against Barnsley Women's, 5th against 4th. Stourbridge against Leafield Athletic is 11th against 3rd. And Kidderminster Harriers against Worcester City on Thursday is 10th against 6th. Division 1 North, there's 4 games taking place on Wednesday. Blackburn Rovers against Chorley, 12th against 8th. Cheadle Stingers against Wythenshawe, 5th against 1st. That game could be an absolute cracker. Doncaster Rovers Bells in 11th against Leeds United, who are 2nd. York City against Norton Stockton Ancients, 10th against 7th. And then on Thursday, Durham Cestro against Chester Street Town, 6th against 9th. And Huddersfield Town against Stockport County, 3rd against 4th. So Again, some of these teams right towards the top of the table are taking each other on midweek this week. Division 1 North, of course, has so much still to go between now and the end of the season, with all the games postponed that they've had so far throughout the season. It's been really quite challenging for Division 1 North, and of course the likes of Cheadle Stingers getting as far as they have done in the plate has just been postponing games left, right and centre. Division 1 South East, there is just 5 games in South East midweek. Norwich City in second against AFC Sudbury in 11th is on Tuesday night. Then Cambridge United against Milton Keynes Dons, Fulham against Queen's Park Rangers and Luton Town against Chesham United are all on Wednesday. Cambridge 7th, MK Dons 10th. Those two teams only separated by 5 points. Fulham against Queen's Park Rangers 1st against 5th. So Queen's Park Rangers certainly will be trying not to make that too easy for Fulham. Luton Town against Chesham United, another big game towards the bottom. Luton Town in 9th, Chesham United in 12th. Can they keep a good quad? Can they get a good run of form going after that win over AFC Sudbury? They have the opportunity, of course, to go off the bottom of the table if they find a way to beat Luton Town. Then on Thursday, Actonians, who are 6th, against London Bees, who are 3rd. London Bees, again, probably with an 8-point gap and 7 games to go, too far away from Norwich City to challenge for a playoff spot, but they have had a very, very good season, have London Bees. Actonians firmly in mid-table, not going to get dragged into anything in a relegation sort of battle, well too far away from the top to be able to challenge anywhere like that. So they'll just want a good end to the season. And finally, Division 1 South West. 5 games in this one as well. Abingdon United against Maidenhead United, 6th against 5th. Very mid-table game, that one. Bournemouth Sports down in 8th against Moneyfields, who are 1st. Swindon Town 2nd against Bristol Rovers 3rd. That's going to be a cracker of a game at Swindon. Then on Thursday, Marine Academy Plymouth against Bridgewater United, 9th against 4th. Portishead Town in 11th against Keynsham Town in 10th. Big game towards the bottom. Portishead Town win that. They cut the deficit to just 3 points with 6 games to go. Keynsham Town win that, they go 9 points clear with 6 games to go, and you would suspect that that is probably going to be enough for Keynsham Town to no longer have to worry about the 2 teams down towards the bottom. So there is plenty to come up in the next 7 days in the FAWNL, and of course once we've finished all of those midweek fixtures as well, we then go in to a full programme in the FAWNL on the Sunday as well. So there is a lot of football still to come. Of course, that is all relying on the weather holding. At the moment it's raining and it's horrible, so games may end up getting called off, and we'll have even more postponements to try and fit in between now and the end of the season. That'll do it for this week's Women's Football Chat here on Switch Radio. Andrew Richards is with you with his Alternative 80s show after the news at 6. Goodbye.